Welcome back to episode 35 of the 31305 podcast, brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy and not our official sponsor. But we do have fantasy football coming back. Most drafts are done this weekend. College football season officially started last week. Yesterday, there were some games. We got good matchups tomorrow. And of course, MLB playoffs are coming on. The NFL season is right on the precipice. It's about to happen. I'm Alex, always joined by my co-host Taylor, who I'm sure is excited for football
No,
coming
I'm ready
back.
ready for the season to be over already.
The expectations of the Lions are weighing
Expect,
down.
yeah, man, can't get too hyped. But yeah, really excited. Tomorrow, I can't wait to wake up at 7 a.m. Turn on game day, which I watch for like maybe 5 minutes every time, and then like start going to get food. I don't know. I game day doesn't excite me as it used to when I was a kid, but still have to turn it on. I guess out of like respect for the college football gods. But looking forward to it. Can't wait to turn Peacock on at 9 in the morning. See the big house full for a great game against ECU. There is a couple good games on the docket tomorrow. Tulane, South Alabama. I think Washington, Boise State's a good game. UNC, South Carolina, and then obviously the big game, Florida State, LSU on Sunday. What is it, like 4:30? My time. It's like a 7:30 kickoff. So Sunday night, Labor Day, we have a game. So damn, wait, we have a football. So there's football yesterday, today, Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
And then Thursday
Thursday. Yeah,
for
so
NFL. Yeah,
there
yeah.
is so much football. We'll break down the NFL probably next week. We're recording late this week. It's Friday. You'll probably be hearing this on like Tuesday by the time we get it up because we're slow with it. But um, probably break that down next week. But before we get into the college football, before we get into the predictions, our wraparound of all the big conference races, which I think it's a pretty easy 1, 2, 3, 4 for the college football playoff. But we will get to some news first. Um, a lot of baseball news this weekend. We'll start with the once great legendary Nationals pitcher Steven Strasburg is retiring at the end of the season. I didn't even know he was pitching this year, if I'm being honest. Um, I thought he retired like 3 years ago, but
He hasn't pitched this season yet
yeah,
because
I was
of
gonna say I didn't think he.
nerve damage. He even stated like he has trouble like picking up glasses of water and like opening doors because that's how bad the nerve damage is in his forearm. So he could kind of tell he wasn't going to come back to the team. So, but I mean, yeah, I mean, he spent his entire career at the Nationals. He led them to a World Series the year that Bryce Harper left. Obviously, Juan Soto became huge that year when they beat the Astros in seven. Um, it's crazy because he's a guy that I'm sure you remember too. Like when he got drafted, ESPN was all over him. The hype, his first
He was the
start,
LeBron James of baseball.
he was, and that was like 2009 when he got drafted. So for him to already have his career end is crazy, but also 14 years apparently goes by pretty quick. Um, I never like thought he was the best pitcher in baseball at any time, but he was always in like top 10, I would say. And I mean, was consistent. That's the biggest thing. Like he never like got super injury prone, super into the latter part of his career, obviously. But I mean, he'll get his 39 retired by the Nationals by the end of the season. They're going to have a game, I think, in a couple weeks where they honor him and his contributions to the franchise. But shout out to Strasburg. I mean, I would say he lived up to the hype that he had. That's at least my opinion.
Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
No, because I don't think he won. He didn't win Cy Youngs. He won one World Series, which is great. I think it's more like a team legend, but not
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is so hard to get into in baseball.
Yeah, no, I agree. 2019 World Series, three-time All-Star. He won a Silver Slugger, which is kind of crazy. And a World Series MVP. His overall stats, I mean, 113 and 62 with a 3.2 ERA, 32 WAR, almost 1,500 innings pitched, 1,700 strikeouts. Yeah, I think he's probably the Hall of Very Good, which I feel like
Yeah.
that's like an argument that could be made for a lot of people, but um, definitely a Nationals legend. They don't have too many of those, but congratulations to Steven Strasburg on a great career and hopefully a healthy retirement.
Yeah, he reminds me of like Chris Carpenter of the Cardinals, you know? Like
Yeah,
Carpenter's gonna be a Cardinals legend, but I don't think he gets to the Hall of Fame. I think it's kind of like
yeah,
that vibe.
that's
We
fair.
do have a definite Hall of Famer to talk about in baseball, and we'll talk about his team in a minute. But it's Shohei Ohtani. He tore his UCL this Monday, I believe, or maybe it was last week. End of last
I think
week.
it was last week.
He kind of like was holding it at second base after a double he hit. He will likely need Tommy John surgery again. Will definitely not pitch next season because the recovery is going to be too quick. He is hitting still. He's still playing, which I don't know why. The Angels are just an entire joke of a franchise. But what do you make of the injury? Do you think this impacts his potential earnings and contract that he's going to get in the offseason?
I mean, it's going to depend on like if he ever pitches in the MLB again. Like this is his second Tommy John. I don't know how old he is. He can't be what over. He's not over 30. There's no way.
No, I think he's like 28, 29.
Yeah. Let's say maybe if he was getting up there in age with the second Tommy John, he might just say I'm only gonna hit. But um, he's 29, so he's getting up there. But I mean, 29
Yeah.
with your second Tommy John, we've seen it before. Who did it recently? McClanahan, right?
Yeah, Shane McClanahan,
McClanahan
who's
had
out
his second. Yeah,
2024 and a lot of 2025. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see him come back next year. But I think he'll still end up pitching. It's definitely gonna hurt his value because he's not gonna be pitching next year. Um, I mean, I'm still throwing the bag at him. Like that doesn't scare me at all. I'm still paying whatever you would pay for a two-way Shohei. I'm paying for a one-way Shohei. I don't care if he
Yeah.
can't pitch anymore. And maybe he's not a starter. That's fine. You bring him in as a hitter. Maybe you get him to close games. Dude, imagine Shohei coming into the ninth and just throwing like 100-mile-an-hour gas just in the ninth.
Yeah.
He
So
throws
he's
10
not
pitches and
fatigued.
he's done. Yeah.
He's a likely two-time MVP. I mean, he's probably going to win the season in the AL, like he's already
Oh
won in
yeah.
the past.
He
So
could not play the rest of the year and he's still winning it.
yeah, I mean, he's still going to earn like an 8 year, 150, $300 million contract, and it wouldn't surprise me. Like this guy is incredible. Like if he doesn't pitch for that next season, sure you miss out on the season, but you just haven't played DH and hopefully not hurt his elbow anymore in hitting.
Yeah, I think
But
it's
yeah,
fine. I think anyone's still going to pony up the money for him because he's still one of the best hitters in the league. He's also one of the best pitchers in the league. So I think he'll be fine pitching wise. I don't think they'll shut him down yet, but it is interesting that the Angels are letting him play and hit through this. I mean, I guess you can't really hurt it anymore. It's a complete tear, isn't it?
I think so. I think it
So
is.
I mean, I guess it's just pain management at this point, and the fact that this dude is still hitting bombs with a torn UCL. Legendary Babe Ruth would never. Um, but yeah,
Babe Ruth could never, man.
and we could talk about the Angels now because they made what I said it was the dumbest thing they could have done was go buy at the trade deadline. I said this is
Yep.
going to be the end of the Angels franchise. The GM, whoever else is making these decisions is gone. It has. I said it. I said this was going to bite them in the ass. And Alex, explain to me what just happened this week.
The Angels realized that, hey, we're actually not going to make the playoffs because we literally suck and we messed up at the trade deadline. So they're shedding salary now for any players that they put on waivers with the hopes that the money that they save they can use apparently towards Otani's new contract. They released all their good players. I mean, obviously not Mike Trout or Otani, but Lucas Giolito, Reynaldo Lopez, Matt Moore, Hunter Renfroe, all released. Randall Grichuk got released, but no team claimed him. So they essentially all the good players they traded for at the deadline. They gave up was it 2, 3, and 5 at
Yep.
least at the deadline, all for nothing. Because now Giolito, Reynaldo Lopez, and Matt Moore all went to the Guardians, who claimed him, and he gets all three. Which I didn't realize in baseball. It's
Yeah, it's
not
it's
like oh
so
you get
bad.
one
And then you
and it
get sent
resets.
back to the no. It's if
You get
Oakland
all
wanted to
three.
claim all six people, they could have. I think it's the
Yeah,
worst thing ever. I think it should be you get to claim one person and then you're sent back to 30th again and you have to restart from there. So Cleveland ended up getting Lucas Giolito, Reynaldo Lopez, and Matt Moore, which is huge for Cleveland, who's in a. I mean, the AL Central sucks, but like I guess they're technically still alive in it.
they're five back. They're
Yeah,
alive. They're
they're
alive.
alive. So
And
I mean,
and the Marlins claimed all three also, and the Guardians were the team just ahead of them. So if the
yeah.
Guardians didn't claim those three, they'd all be in Miami right now
Yeah,
pitching.
and then I think the Diamondbacks said they claimed four players. Obviously, didn't get any of them because we're
They're
better than
behind in
every
the
other
order.
team. So
Yeah, Hunter Renfroe went to the Reds. The Reds also got Harrison Bader from the Yankees, he got cut. No teams claimed Josh Donaldson. Surprise, because he's been terrible this season. But yeah, there's no way in hell Otani signs for this team
no,
now.
the Brewers claimed Josh Donaldson to a minor league deal.
That's what it was, but not from waivers, and they just signed him
No,
to a
yeah,
minor league
yeah, they
deal.
signed him to a minor league deal. He is able to make the postseason roster if they wanted to call him up, but Damn, what a fall
Yeah,
from grace Josh Donaldson had, dude. Did he didn't win an MVP, did he? He did win an MVP.
he did win an MVP. He
Yeah,
won
he
the
won an
AL MVP,
MVP.
I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. What a fall.
like that man has fallen so far.
Hmm. But yeah, back to yeah, he won MVP in 2015 with the Blue Jays. That's what it
Yeah,
was. But yeah, but back to Otani and the Angels. I mean, you can't look at this realistically now and want to sign. Like,
no, absolutely
there's
not.
no reason he should sign at the Angels. They have no future. They have no future. This team is absolutely going to be terrible for the next 3 seasons. Why sign and ruin your legacy and not chase a title when you're one of the best players in the baseball?
He was already like practically gone. There was no way that they were salvaging and getting Otani back. Sans like a undefeated playoff run to the most dominant World Series win we've ever seen. Maybe he stays, but yeah, no. If you're Otani, you're going to get the bag from the Dodgers, from the Mets, from quite literally anybody but the Angels, because they might be the team. They might be the worst team in baseball for the next 5 years. If Mike Trout
Yeah,
leaves, which I think Mike Trout should have already requested a trade, but I think he's injured again. I
he
think the
is.
Angels they've now depleted their prospect pool. They've traded everybody away. Name one other person on that team.
Anthony Rendon, who's again hurt.
Oh yeah, Anthony Rendon, who's probably one of the worst contracts in baseball of all
Yeah, you're
time.
right. They
So
don't
you
know how to
got him.
manage their team.
No,
They don't
no,
know how to
they are.
manage the team or money. Like they can't.
That's the thing is they're going to be so shit this year, but they're still not going to get a top 10 draft pick. They're still middle of
Yeah,
the pack. So they're not only are they fucked for this year, they're not even going to get a good draft pick. I don't know. They're calling up their draft pick from this year trying to make an impact. The Angels are actually going to be the worst team in baseball for the next 5 to 10 years. I actually believe that. If they get rid of
yeah.
Mike Trout.
I mean, Oakland's pretty bad too. At
Oakland's
least,
Oakland's bad, but at least they have the move to look forward to. I guess like there's nothing exciting on this Angels team that you're looking forward to. No prospect call ups. They're not bringing anybody
yeah.
in. They're losing Shohei. I think they should just at this point trade Mike Trout for whatever they can get. So
That's why they should have traded Otani for prospects. Like, and I knew they weren't going to, and I know you said it, but I knew they weren't going to, but they should have. They should have traded for
they absolutely
prospects
should have. I don't know how he still has a job. How does this GM have a job still? Is
because they're
just
waiting for the end of the season. And you know it's the owner that's also playing a part because the owner has
yeah.
to approve of all these mega contracts for Rendon, Trout, Otani, which I mean Trout deserves it, right? Otani deserves their arbitration rage this year, but everyone else just a shit show.
What do you put the percentage that Otani resigns with the Angels? Is it
I'm gonna
is it
say
zero
5.
percent? 5?
I'm gonna
Oh
say 5.
shit. Okay,
5 is still low. 5 is
I was
still low.
I was in the point zeros of percentages on that one.
No, I'd still say 5. I think the Angels are probably still in the top 7 teams to sign him, just because of the history, the sponsors that they have with
Yeah.
Japan, the proximity, and the comfort that he's in. So I would still put him in the top 6 or 7, but they wouldn't be my favorites. They wouldn't be my favorites.
Yeah, no, not at all.
From one shit show of an organization to another, we have the Indianapolis Colts, who also do not know how to manage their star players.
No, they don't. They should swap GMs.
Or owners. Honestly, it's the
Yeah,
owners.
swap owners.
Um, but Jonathan Taylor ended up on the pup list, physically unable to perform list so he's out for the first 4 games, first 4 weeks in the NFL season. The Packers were the mystery team that were interested, along with the Dolphins, trading for the star running back, but they were both willing to give him a mega extension also if they agreed to terms on a deal. But the Colts from the Dolphins it leaked that they wanted a second round pick, which is fair. You know, you can get a second round pick for Jonathan Taylor. But on top of that, they wanted either Christian Wilkins, probably top 8, 10 defensive tackle in the NFL, Robert Hunt, who's a very decent guard, not the most untradeable piece, but a decent player, or Jalen Waddle, who is arguably a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Like, the owner's on crack. Like, if I was Miami, I would have just blocked the calls. Like, there's no reason that the Colts had these unrealistic expectations, and they value him so much, but they don't want to pay him what a running back should earn in the NFL. So now they have, what is it? Deion Jackson is their starting running
Deion
back for the first four
Jackson, Zach
games,
Moss,
who broke his
who
arm and he's
broke
still
his arm.
recovering from
So
injury.
Deion
Yeah, it's
Jackson
going to be the
waiver
Anthony
wire
Richardson.
pickup.
So
Waiver wire pickup Deion Jackson. He did great last year for waiver wire. I think I picked him up 1 week. He dropped like 25. So if you need
yeah, but
a
to have that versus Jonathan Taylor
yeah
in the backfield, like
yeah
just an absolute shit show by the Colts.
I don't know what Jim what is his angle? Like, what is Irsay's angle here? I don't know why he thought that it would ever be getting Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle straight
Bro,
up for Jonathan Taylor. I'm not taking, but like a second
I
round
would
pick.
take Waddle.
Yeah, I'll
Waddle
take
has
it.
less injury history.
Absolutely,
Waddle's younger
yes.
on a cheaper deal.
No, I don't know. I think this is just Irsay's way of saying we're not trading you unless we get insane return.
Yeah.
Which I mean, if that's his prerogative, go for it. But I don't know. The running back market, and we've talked about it for weeks on how they've kind of killed themselves, but like also at the same time, I understand. I just I don't know. 4 weeks without Jonathan Taylor, the Colts are gonna be bad this year anyway. Like I wouldn't be shocked if this man doesn't if he just sits out. Um,
Yeah. Or
I
they
don't
trade
know.
him at the
That
deadline, like McCaffrey.
yeah, I saw that and was like, there's no fucking way this man actually thought he was gonna get Jalen Waddle. Like, what would you have done if Greer picked up the phone and was like, yeah, we'll take it. We'll take Jonathan Taylor for Waddle a
He would
second.
have got he would have got
He would have been ran out of
so
Miami.
much ridicule because like Waddle and Tua are the future of the Dolphins, right? Because Tyreek's going to be there for 4 more seasons probably and have great numbers, but like for the next 10 years, you could have Waddle and Tua connection. So like, why would you throw that away? Don't get me wrong, Jonathan Taylor's very good, but you can also draft a running back next year in the top probably second round. I think we have our first round pick even next season, and actually just go get a running back that's really good. So I don't understand
Yeah.
it.
Well, we can
And
talk.
I want to know. Sorry, I want to know what your thoughts are. What would the Packers trade offer look like?
It would have
If
had to be like probably. I'm
like,
like
is
I
it
want to
AJ
say like
Dillon?
I was gonna say, is it AJ Dillon? Is it Christian Watson? Is it like Romeo Dobbs in a second? Like I don't know. The
I don't
Packers would
know.
not have been able to beat it player wise. Pick wise, I mean they could have I guess thrown the picks at him, but I mean
Yeah,
AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones. I mean I feel like that's a pretty solid 1-2 anyway. I don't know if you want to break that up. AJ Dillon probably is not nearly as valuable as Aaron Jones, I
Taylor.
guess, but
What do you,
or Taylor, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what their offer was. I don't think it
like?
came
What were
out.
they cooking?
Yeah,
What were the Packers cooking?
I have no idea what the Packers were cooking at all, unless they were like, yeah, we'll just give you Aaron Rodgers' like old house. You can have it.
Yeah, we'll give you his old mansion in Green
Give you
Bay.
his old mansion and like two of his used towels.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would have been interesting to see like Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor on the same team if it wasn't Aaron Jones for Jonathan Taylor that trade. But yeah, very. That's what I'm saying. The surprise that the Packers are the mystery team. I thought it'd be like the Bills, the Chiefs, or somebody, but
Yeah, I
guess
mean
not.
they would probably would have thrown Christian Watson
No, but
or
he's the best receiver they have. They can't throw him in.
I mean that's what I did. They wouldn't have taken that, but I mean that might have just been what like Waddle is
They wanted.
arguably our
Yeah,
best wide receiver for the future. So
yeah,
I don't know. That Jim Irsay is on crack. That his that's the thing is his trade value is just going to keep going down. Like
yeah.
the longer the season goes, I mean, I guess until the trade deadline, unless there's a huge injury, no one's trading for him in week 2 or 3.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is that if they trade Taylor, they know the team that's trading for him will re-sign him. So it's not like you're trading him for the last 8 games. It's the expectation that the team that trades for him will sign him to a long-term deal.
Yeah,
So I guess that's why the value can be a little bit higher, but still.
I I don't know. I feel like you should have traded him a while ago if you wanted the value when the hype was high and everyone was in. But now you've shown your cards of it's going to cost you Jalen Waddle, a second round pick, and Christian Wilkins, and no one else is going to call. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
This is
could,
like if the Cowboys wanted him and they were like, oh yeah, we want Michael Parsons.
yeah. I
Like,
think
no.
the Colts have absolutely overplayed their hand, and no one is picking up the phone now. If they would have been reasonable,
No.
like yeah, we want a second and third round pick, like yeah, that's fair. You're probably going to get a bunch more activity. Now that you've come out and say we literally want essentially all Pro Bowl players and a second round pick, no one's picking the phone up.
Like it feels like Zach Sealer, who I know just signed an extension with the Dolphins, but like before the extension, it feels like Zach
Yeah,
Sealer in a second. I would say that's more realistic. But for Wilkins, you're on crack.
yeah.
Uh, for GMs who are not on crack, it is the Minnesota and Detroit GMs, who, of course, you know, you're a Lions fan. Brad
Yes,
Holmes, the GM for the
sir. Brett
Lions.
Holmes, the goat.
Last year, they pulled off a trade, which I still think worked well for both sides. I mean, TJ Hawkinson got traded for a second round in this most recent draft with the Lions using Brian Branch and a third round of this upcoming season. The Vikings got Hawkinson, who did very well because of the last year of his deal, and they just signed him to a contract extension to make him the highest paid tight end in the NFL. I mean, 4 years, 68 million. I think a little more than half of that's guaranteed. I know you loved Hawk in Detroit. I know you hate that you have to see him twice a year, but what do you make of the extension and the overall trade now that Hawk is definitely going to stay in Minnesota?
Yeah, that's insane for TJ Hawkinson, who I mean has been good, but he that's like Travis Kelsey money. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's
Mark
more. It's
Andrews.
more.
Yeah, like that's what they should be getting paid. TJ Hawkinson is a fringe top 7 tight end in the league, I think. I mean, I could
Yeah.
probably name five tight ends better than him.
Hmm.
He should have gotten like 4 years, maybe 45.
Like 10 a season, 11 a season, not 15.
Yeah, that is insane. He's a good tight end, but we see if you don't have a top 2 tight end anyway, does it really matter what tight end you have? Like, yeah, Kansas City has Travis Kelsey, but look at the other great teams. The Buffalo Bills, do they have a top 5 tight end? No. The
No.
Cincinnati Bengals, do they have a top 5 tight end?
No.
No.
But
The
they I
Miami
think the
Dolphins,
difference
do they even
is
have a
yeah.
tight end? No.
I think the difference is, I mean, not for the Chiefs, but at least like the Bengals and the Bills and the Dolphins, they have that second wide receiver that's good. The Minnesota has a rookie in Addison, so I think they're just relying on Hawk to be like that second option receiving wise, and they're saving money because they have to pay Cook. Addison is on a rookie deal. Madison makes less, so I mean, it's a lot of money. You're right. It's a lot of money.
Oh,
He's got to produce.
he is not going to give you $68 million in production. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, he's got to get like 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. Like that's what like minimal. That's what he has to give you.
Yeah.
So he's very good, but that money is oof.
I mean,
And I
like,
mean, for the Lions, yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, like, can you even think of like the five? Kelsey's better. I'm taking Andrews. I'm taking Kittle. I'm probably taking Darren Waller.
Pitts
Ah,
made. Well,
I was
no,
about
I
to
wouldn't
say
say Pitts.
I would take Pitts in the right situation with his athletic abilities. I'm not taking Pitts in
Yeah,
Atlanta. I'm taking Pitts
yeah.
in like fucking Buffalo.
Any other
Like how
offense
he,
that's not run
yeah,
heavy. Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, yeah, 5 to 7 tight end. That's not 5 to 7 tight end money. That's like elite. You're one of the greatest players in the NFL. Like that's crazy.
yeah. And for the Lions, I mean, like they did good because they knew they weren't going to pay Hawkinson this money, right? Especially not this amount.
No,
And now they have Sam Laporta on a rookie deal for the next 4 seasons because he was a second round pick out of Iowa. So I think the Lions did good, and they got a third this season that they could use on probably another defensive piece
yeah, and
or
Brian Branch, who was probably a first round talent that they ended up getting later
that
in the
fell.
draft,
Yeah,
that fell to him. That I mean, I know it's camp. Everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, this player is insane." It's training camp. He's doing great. But I mean, everything coming out of training camp is Brian Branch should have been a top 15 pick.
yeah.
He's looking insane. So I mean, if Brian Branch is that kind of talent, and they also get essentially Sam Laporta, who's pretty much the same exact person as T.J. Hawkinson, except younger on a team-friendly deal now, this is an absolute win. TJ never really did much in Detroit anyway, so Sam Laporta is already going to be the starting tight end. So I think this is a huge win for Detroit, especially with
Mhm.
another draft pick coming up next year. Great move by Brad Holmes. The Lions hype train has officially left the station. Everyone has hopped on the bandwagon. I
Mhm.
am terrified.
I told you I can't wait for next week. That game, I hope the over is set or over under set at like 50 because that's going to be a high
I
scoring
can
game
look.
between the Chiefs and
I don't think
Lions.
it might be higher than that. But like this is
Like
the first year
25
that
each.
I'm
Yeah.
this is the first year where the Lions, like, I'm scared they're gonna hurt me because in the past I just go into the season like, yeah, we're gonna win 4 or 5 games. I already know what to expect. But like this season, I'm on the Lions Kool Aid. I think they're gonna win the Super Bowl at this point. So if they don't even make the playoffs, dude, I might over
They
under is
start
54.
2-5. You're just burning your jerseys.
Oh yeah, over under of
Yeah.
54. I feel like it could probably go over that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it depends because like some teams are also like rusty in the first game of the season,
Yeah,
so we'll see. I don't know if Jameer Gibbs has a breakout game, then everyone's going to be
yeah,
going
but
crazy over him.
we will break down the week 1 games. Hopefully, we'll record earlier in the week next week to prepare for week 1. Um,
Yeah.
but one last, actually a couple more pieces of news. Speaking of Jalen Waddle, who we were talking about earlier, he was part of a trade package for a certain player on draft day a couple of years ago. Trey Lance, the Niners gave up what 3 first round picks for for Trey Lance in a trade
Essentially,
up,
yeah.
essentially three
Essentially.
first round picks, which turned into Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and
Bradley
man,
Chubb.
Bradley Chubb. Uh, for Trey Lance, who sat on the bench and has now been traded to Dak Land in Dallas. I think I've been saying it. This is setting up for Dak Prescott to be
Week
benched.
11. Week 11.
I said by week 14 he will be benched.
Yeah. Yeah,
This
yeah.
this sets it up perfect. Um, if Dallas is out of contention by week 14, which is possible with Philly being so good in that division, they might just start Trey Lance.
Or if
I
Dak
think
gets hurt, because Dak has the injury history, right?
Yeah, I think this is. I mean, this is a terrible trade. No, this trade's fine. The trade, draft night trade, probably goes down as quite possibly one of the worst trades in NFL history. It's got to be up there. That's terrible. You mortgaged your entire franchise future with 3 first round picks for a guy. How many snaps did he play? How many games did he play? Like two.
He played less than DTR, who's the backup now in Baltimore, I believe, or the Browns, the backup of the
Dorian Thompson
Cleveland.
Robinson.
Yeah, like imagine. Don't get me wrong, the Niners are still a great team, but imagine if they had used that pick on Justin Fields, right, who was available,
Mid,
on Jalen Waddle, right,
not mid.
or like they could imagine that offense with the pieces that they could have added to it. Like that's what's crazy to me.
Yeah, and the fact that
So
they rolled out with Brock Purdy and won, so it's like, damn,
yeah, it
Trey
doesn't
Lance
matter.
is
It
just
doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, big fold. I think, like you said, I think eventually Trey Lance gets some play time this season. Dak, I don't think he's as bad as you say, but I do think he does get hurt at some point during the season.
I think he's fucking terrible.
I know you do. But we'll see. We'll see what happens during the season.
who
Hopefully, Trey
took
Lance can get his career on track.
who took Dak in our fantasy league this year?
He's the backup quarterback for whoever took him. I saw already.
Oh, is he
He's
damn?
not
I was
starting.
gonna say,
Yeah,
if
he's not
someone's
starting.
starting Dak, then like easy wins against
No,
him.
no, no. I know he's the backup, which is crazy because we have someone in our fantasy league that's starting Sam Howell. But I
Honestly,
digress.
okay, hot take. I might start Sam Howell over Dak Prescott.
With the
I,
new coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, maybe.
yeah, I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, maybe. But we go from. I mean, yeah. I think again, I said Trey Lance will probably play at some point this season, but we'll see what happens with Dallas.
Yeah.
We do have news that broke today, actually, from college news. Which again, wearing the college shirt, even though I didn't go to UM, my school doesn't have a football program, so I'm forced to root for the Canes. And they're in the ACC, who added 3 teams to their conference today. Stanford, Cal, and SMU finalized being added to all sports. So the ACC is going to have 17 teams for football, 18 for all other sports because Notre Dame is obviously independent in football, but they're in the ACC for everything else. It's going to be that University of Miami to the University of Cal road game or like home game. It's going to be so. It's literally called the Atlantic Coast Conference. Now they have 2 teams on the Pacific Coast.
Yeah.
Like, just rename the conference. Like, that's what I think needs to happen.
And
These conferences got to rename.
SMU's not close either. They're not.
I mean, they're in
SM,
Texas,
it's in
but
Texas, but like still, that's not a close trip.
they have to rename the conferences. Like, it's no longer the Big 10 or Big 12, right? Like,
It's going to be the
I
Big
guess the
32
SEC,
soon.
the SEC can still be the SEC because like Oklahoma and Texas are meh, kind of bordering, but all these other conferences got to rebrand and rename. Um, I don't know. I mean, it pushes the academic profile now because now you have Duke, Wake Forest, Stanford, and Cal in the same conference, which is great academic reasons wise. But I think it was
Academics
just,
don't win national championships.
yeah, like I don't think I'm not going to be excited when Miami plays Cal in football in 3 seasons and be like, wow, I'm so glad we added the
No.
Cal Golden Bears.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the Mountain West is going to come up on top, honestly, when they add Oregon State and Washington State, who are the last 2 teams remaining in the Pac-12. But it's just a shit show.
No, the Pac-12 is officially dead. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. I know a couple episodes we said it was probably going to end up being the ACC might fold and split off in between the SEC and Big Ten, but
Not
now it looks
anymore.
like the ACC is gonna be a Big Three now, I guess. So
Hmm.
I don't. The Big 12 might still kick around for a little bit, but I mean, you've already seen them lose probably um, their top 2 money producing teams with Oklahoma and Texas. Um, But yeah, I don't know where they go from here. The ACC is, dude, the travel is just going to be awful. I don't know why everything has to be money related. Just everything was fine the way it was, and then
Yep.
one team gets greedy, the other team see, wow, they can make more money leaving, we're gonna leave too, and they've completely fucked over college football and its fans.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's all for money, right? It's all for money.
Yeah.
Like Miami's going to have to travel to Stanford, but they're not going to be able to play like UF. Like there's not going to be any more non-conference games that are really good. There's going to be
No.
three non-conference games each team gets, and they're still going to battle McNeese State. They're still going to battle like North Dakota, not North Dakota State, just North Dakota. So at that college football video games, you'll have a lot of rescheduling to do, realignment to do in the future.
They might push the game back at this point again to 2025.
No, no, they already announced they're going to release it. They already announced they're going to release it. But
Please God. Yeah,
uh,
that's the
go ahead.
ACC. But I was gonna
Yeah.
say we got games. We got games that started yesterday. Florida looked like shit. Billy Napier is not the answer in UF, losing to Utah without Cam Rising. That was a disappointment. But it's time to break down the conferences for what they are because we still have five conferences this year, five full conferences with good teams in all of them. So we'll just go real quick. What we want, we'll give our predictions for the conferences, the winners, the college football, the Heisman, surprise teams. We'll start in your home conference, the ACC. Who do you think wins? I feel like this is really, um, it's really a two-dog race, but maybe there's a
Yeah.
surprise, maybe there's not. I don't know. I'm not huge on Miami this year, but let me know who do you think gets out of the ACC, and is there any disappointments?
I think it's not Miami. Like, I would love for Miami to. They've made it to one championship, conference championship game, and that was in 2017 when they had a great team. I think that Clemson FSU game is going to be huge in week 4 to determine the winner. I like
Yeah,
Clemson getting out of it. I think they were actually held back by DJ, however you pronounce his last name, a quarterback.
Uyunglele.
There you go. So
Thank
I
you. He
think they'll
plays
be
for
better without
he plays
him.
for Oregon State now, which
I know he does. He's the
that's
starter,
like that's such a random place to transfer to. But
right?
shout out Oregon State for getting DJ Uyunglele.
But I think FSU is slightly overrated. I think FSU loses their first game to LSU and probably to Clemson, and I think Clemson runs the table in the conference. They don't really have any tough games. I mean, the ACC isn't a strong conference,
Yeah,
so I like Clemson in the ACC.
that's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna go the opposite. I think it's Florida State. I like Jordan Travis. Their game against LSU on Sunday is pretty much gonna be a title eliminator or playoff eliminator in week 1, unless either of those teams can go undefeated the rest of the season. It's not easy to make the playoff with 2 losses. But I'm a big Florida State fan this year. I mean, I hate Florida State, but like I'm big on them this year. I think they'll be fine. I think LSU's a little overrated, so I think Florida State's going to win this game on Sunday, and it's going to propel
Hmm.
them into the top. I guess they're 8 now. They'll probably be a top 6 team, which just sets them up for an pretty easy path to the college football playoff. If they go undefeated, they're making it. They get LSU. They're at Clemson, which is tough, but other than that, I mean, Clemson has to play Notre Dame, which is obviously tough. Clemson also ends the season like at UNC and with South Carolina. There's really nothing else on Florida State's schedule other than LSU and Clemson that worries me. I mean, Syracuse is bad. Virginia Tech's going to be bad. Miami, I think, is going to be pretty bad. Florida, we saw last night, is terrible. There's not a team on here. I mean, I think they could still go 11-1, and since there's no divisions inside the conference now,
Yeah.
it's the 2 best teams. So there's a chance, they lose that game to Clemson. They play Clemson in the ACC championship, beat them there on a neutral site. Where's the ACC game at? Is it Atlanta?
North Carolina.
Oh, they played in North Carolina. Oh, ew.
I
Um,
think. I mean, it changed before. I know it was in Tampa one year,
yeah, I don't
but
know,
I think it's
but
still in North Carolina. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm big on FSU. I think the non divisions this year is going to help them out because they can lose that game to Clemson, and still play Clemson again for the conference championship. So I'm going to take FSU to win the ACC. I'm still really big on Clemson too. Like I think you could coin flip it and say who wins. I wouldn't be shocked if Clemson ends up making the college football playoff. But I actually, and I might be spoiling a little bit, don't even have an ACC team in my top 4.
I mean, not surprising. Like, I don't think an ACC team gets into the playoff this year.
Yeah,
I don't. Um, I think for the Big 12, that's the next major conference really to speak of. I think OU and Texas are going to be like, there's going to be another surprise team. Like TCU making the top 4 last year was crazy, making the title game. I don't think that happens this year. I think Oklahoma and Texas are going to be on such like every team is going to want to beat them, like to send them out of the Big 12, and like as soon as they leave for the SEC, they really want to beat them. But I think they actually have two of the best seasons in the Big 12. I think Texas beats Alabama, but loses to Oklahoma in their matchup in Red River rivalry. So I actually think Oklahoma represents the Big 12, but I'm really high on Texas this year.
Yeah, I'm taking Texas to win the Big 12. I think Quinn Ewers is going to be great. Maybe we see Arch Manning this year at some point, so that would be exciting. There's just nothing on Texas' schedule that scares me. Like they played TCU, but I'm not big on TCU this year. They've lost pretty much everybody from that team last year, and we did see that when they played, an actual team in Georgia, they got shitted on. So not huge on TCU. Oklahoma, I'm not huge on again this year either. I just think Texas is the class of the Big 12. I don't think any
Yeah.
of the new teams, UCF, BYU, those are the only two teams that joined this year.
UCF and Memphis, I believe, joined this year. It wasn't
No, it
Cincinnati.
was UC. It was UCF, Cincinnati, BYU,
That's what it was.
and
Cincinnati.
Houston. And Houston, sorry. But I think Cincinnati's going to be terrible this year. Kansas might be fun, but Kansas doesn't have the talent that Texas has. Kansas State lost Deuce Vaughn from last year. They're probably going to take a little bit of a step back. And then obviously TCU, I think, is going to take a huge step back. I don't think they'll be ranked. They're going to be my disappointing team of the year, probably 8-4. But Texas, I think if Texas beats Alabama, which I think they could, because Alabama has quarterback problems all across.
Yeah.
I think they just said, what's his name, Milrow. I think they named
Yeah,
him
he's a
starter
starter over
today.
the Notre
Yeah,
Dame transfer.
yeah. But I mean, they play at Alabama. They obviously the Red River shootout is neutral site, right? Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's
yeah.
neutral.
And then I mean, at TCU, who I think is going to be bad, and then at Iowa State, at Houston, nothing there really scares me. They only play, I guess, 5 true road games all year, and 2 of them are the last 3 games. So I'll take Texas to win the Big 12.
In the Big Ten, we're both going to be unanimous with our
Yeah,
votes. Three, two,
yeah.
one. Ohio State. No,
Penn
we're
State.
both picking. We're both picking Michigan. I think the returning talent for Michigan is too good to ignore. I think by the end of the season, this team will be one or two in the polls, maybe even three, but they definitely will deserve their spot. As long as they just got to avoid the trap game, they got to avoid the trip to Purdue. They got to avoid the big game, the game, should I say, against Ohio State. So as long as they can avoid any trap games, and obviously Harbaugh's missing the first 3 games, I think this team is going to be the class of the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think so too. We've seen them beat Ohio State on the ground, just run it, bully ball. I think that's what they're going to base it off of again. JJ McCarthy, I think, is a top 10, 15 quarterback, but they don't need him to be elite. You have the best running back duo with Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum this year. I am scared of Penn State, and they're going to come up a little bit later when we talk about possible surprise teams. Um, but I do think Penn State's going to be really good this year. They're ranked 7th. Michigan has to go to Penn State this season. That could be a weird trap game type. But here's a crazy thing that could happen. Michigan loses at Penn State. Penn
Yeah,
State loses to Ohio State. Ohio State loses to Michigan. You've got a three-way
yeah,
tie.
and it's
All the
by ranking.
tiebreakers, it's by ranking, and the
Yeah,
tiebreakers, you could see 2 Big Ten teams get in based on that. If Michigan loses to Penn State, and I don't even know how it would work out. I could definitely see 2 Big Ten teams getting in. If Penn State beats Michigan and loses a close one to Ohio State, and then they also, I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm not
yeah,
shocked if either. I'm not shocked if 2 of those 3 teams make it. But Michigan's schedule, I feel like, is probably the easiest out of the 3. Their only tough game on the road is going to be at Penn State because they get the game in the Big House this year. Um, but like at Nebraska doesn't scare me. At Minnesota doesn't scare me. Michigan State's going to be really bad. Um, so we'll see. Penn State's they got Purdue, Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State. I do think that'll be a tough 4 game stretch. But yeah, Michigan is. They're going to make it 3 in a row. That team down
yeah.
south getting their ass beat again.
That's what I meant. I said Purdue, but I meant when they go to Penn State. That's going to be the
Yeah,
trap game for Michigan.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. In the Pac-12, I mean, I think
This
it's
one's
going
gonna
to
be
be
great
tight because
too.
I like Washington actually a lot this season. Michael Penix Jr. coming back for another season is going to be huge for them. But I think this is the year USC finally like transforms back into that big powerhouse they were in the late 2000s. So I like USC. Caleb Williams is going to be great this season, probably number one pick in the draft. So I like USC out of the Pac-12
Just like look at the quarterbacks in this in this
conference.
conference. You got Caleb Williams, Cam Rising, Bo Nix, DJ
Michael Penix.
Uyunglele, Michael Penix. Like this is going to be a very offensive conference, and we
Yeah.
saw with USC playing what was it, San Diego State last week in Week 0. Their defense is not great. Um,
Yeah.
it did not look good. Now their offense put up what 56 points, but I feel like a lot of these games in the Pac-12 are going to be fun. They're going to be high scoring. That Oregon USC game is going to be a great game. I think Utah is going to be a really good team once Cam Rising gets back. Their defense is legit. Their offense was really good last night for what it was, with no Cam Rising and no starting tight end was out. Injuries
Yeah.
pretty much all over the place. Their defense is definitely legit. Um, I'm leaning USC. I feel like it's a pretty easy choice right now to take USC, but I think Oregon and Utah could both give them a run for their money. I'm not huge on Washington this season. I think Michael Penix has had a really good career revival ever since he left Indiana a couple years ago, but I don't. Washington's always been like kind of there. They're a legit team, but when they play the big dogs, and we saw it when they went into the playoffs and when they played Michigan a couple years ago, they do not hold up. I think they have a really tough test tomorrow. I think they host Boise State, so we'll see
They do.
what they can do. But the Pac-12 might
Yeah.
be the second most interesting conference this year, just because of the offensive talent there is.
Yeah. No, I like Washington because all of their really tough games, they essentially get at home. They get Utah at home. They get Oregon. They get obviously the Boise State game tomorrow. The game at USC and Oregon State could be huge. Obviously, the one at USC is going to be a crazy game. But I don't know. I think if Washington can get through their non-conference slate of Boise State and Michigan State undefeated and get into that USC game undefeated, you can be looking at two top five teams playing against each other. Because
Yeah,
Washington's 10, USC is 6. If both teams are undefeated by that and then they play Utah the week later in Washington.
dude,
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's a brutal schedule though. They
yeah,
go
at
USC
USC,
and then
home
Utah.
against
Yeah,
Utah, and then at Oregon State.
that's crazy.
So that's like if Washington can win two of those three, I think they have a shot. I'm not saying they're gonna make the playoff, but I think they're
Yeah,
gonna be a very good team.
no, they could definitely be good. But also in the Pac-12, Colorado, how many games do you think Prime Time wins in year one?
I'll 7. I'll say 7.
7.
Yeah, why not?
Whoa. I
They got 4 almost
okay.
guaranteed wins non-conference, or at least 3 guaranteed non-conference.
I mean, I don't know if I'd say 7. I was gonna put them at like 4 or 5. I mean,
No, I think
they're
they'll beat
losing.
Nebraska and Colorado State.
I don't know. I feel like Nebraska, they're probably on the same level with Colorado State. Yes, probably a win. That Nebraska game's a toss up. They're not beating TCU, Oregon, USC. I mean, Arizona State is maybe a toss up if there's not another
Stanford,
dust. There's not another dust
Arizona.
storm that delays the game for 2 hours.
Yeah,
Stanford, they'll probably beat. Stanford's gonna be really bad this year. Arizona, I think will be good. I mean, I see like three, I'd say solid wins and then maybe two toss ups. But I mean, Colorado has never been a great program anyway, so anything that Dion can do is a win. I think 5 wins in his first year. He's probably gonna win Pac-12 Coach of the Year at that point.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think it's gonna be. I think 7. I think I'm a little higher. Like they got his son obviously at quarterback, Shadur Sanders. Remember, he did recruit well. He brought really good
Yeah,
recruits from Jackson State to Colorado.
yeah,
So it's not
but
like their
I
team is absolutely nothing.
going from Jackson State and playing, Alabama A&M to having to play Caleb Williams at USC or Bo Nix at at Oregon
Yeah, but the
is
players
different.
were still like top 10 recruiting. They just wanted to go to an HBCU instead of going to a big
True. I mean,
conference. So it's not like
we've seen
terrible.
teams that have really good. Look at A&M last year. Had the number one class by a mile. They all transferred out because they finished what 5-7. They were terrible.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah. But the SEC is not the Pac-12. I mean, they're
no,
good. The Pac-12 is good, but they're not the
yeah,
SEC.
yeah, no. But we'll see. I think 5 wins is fair. 7 might be jumping the gun a little bit, but 7 would
We'll see what
absolutely get
happens.
him Coach of the Year for the Pac-12.
Yeah. Speaking of the SEC, we of course have your Auburn Tigers in there.
Yes,
I'm not picking
sir.
them to win the conference, sadly.
No, sir.
No shot. I think the team that has the best shot, because again, consistency It's so weird to not pick Alabama, by the way, because they're obviously just like the default you would feel like. I think LSU is going to win the conference. I think they have the most returning talent. I think they finished off strong last year. Georgia lost a lot of good players, so did Alabama, even though Bama and Georgia constantly reload anyways with great talent. But I think LSU, this is the season that they take the next step. And especially if they can beat FSU on Sunday in Orlando,
Dude, that game's
I
gonna be
think that
so
just
good.
sets the bar on their season so high.
Yeah. I have to go chalk. It's Georgia. They've won two national championships in a row. They've got Carson Beck at quarterback. We'll see if he's got to be an upgrade over Stetson Bennett. But like Stetson Bennett also won two national championships, so I don't
Hmm.
know. They got Brock Bowers, who's probably the best offensive weapon in the country back. They've got Lad McConkey. They're going to be really good. I don't think they're going to be challenged until they get to the conference championship, either against Alabama or LSU. I'm not
Yeah.
like super huge on LSU, but I'm also not super huge on Alabama. I think the West is going to be a lot weaker than it usually is. I mean, you've got Arkansas, I think, is going to be bad. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, I think, are going to be pretty average. I think Auburn probably wins 6 games. I mean, LSU and Alabama might be the best out of them, but they could definitely go in. They could be a two-loss team representing the West. I feel like so. I'm taking Georgia.
Hmm.
I don't think anyone's challenging them anytime soon. Kirby Smart is the best coach in the country. Until they lose, I'm just gonna keep picking them. I don't know. I don't know what else. Yeah, like if you look in the East, who in the East is challenging them? Florida lost terribly yesterday. I mean Tennessee maybe, but they lost a ton on offense with Jalen Hyatt and Hendon Hooker last
Yeah.
year. South Carolina's a fun team, I guess, with Spencer Rattler, but
I think they're the
other
only
than
competition. I think it's
yeah,
got to be. If it's team, it's South Carolina.
it's yeah, and I mean, even that is like you got Spencer Rattler, I guess, but other than that, I don't know. They're a fringe
Yeah, but
top
they also got
25
rocked
team.
48-7 last year by Georgia, so maybe
Yeah,
not. And that was
yeah,
a home game for South
they certainly
Carolina.
did. Like I think
So
Missouri was the only team that gave Georgia a good game in the regular season. So
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I don't think anybody's beaten. I think Alabama at 4, and I mean I guess Nick Saban gets the benefit of the doubt for being Nick Saban, but Alabama is not the fourth best team in the country. They don't know who's playing quarterback. I said the same thing about Ohio State. Quarterback issues, or how can you rank them so high? You don't know what you're going to get. And I guess Georgia with Carson Beck is in the same area, but like the talent around them is significantly better than LSU and Alabama is. So we know the defense is going to play. They always do. Georgia, I think cakewalks through the regular season and just steamrolls their way to the playoff.
Speaking of the playoff, the college football playoff, we do have, of course, four teams that make it every season. I think we have two teams, three teams that are similar. The only difference is pretty much who picked to win the SEC. I've got LSU making it from the SEC. Again, I think they probably lose one game, whether it's to at Bama or at FSU, and they run the table the rest of the way. They have all of their hard games at home, except for like at Ole Miss and at Bama, obviously. So if they just lose to Bama on the road and they clear the rest of the table, I think they make it. I like USC out of the Pac-12. Again, I think they might go undefeated. They might lose one game, but I think it's enough to get them over the hump. I like Texas. Again, I think Texas loses to Oklahoma, but they'll have that road win against Bama to like let secure that number 4 spot over, say, Bama or Georgia or another team that's competing with them. And I like before, I like Michigan. Michigan's probably going to be a top 2, top 3 program. They can if they can avoid the Penn State loss, I think this could be the number 1 team in the country. But again, I like Michigan. And I don't really have a national title champion yet, but I think this is my top 4 because it's so hard to predict who's going to win the title.
Oh, I already have my pick,
I know it rhymes with
but it honestly does not. But my
no.
college football playoff 4 is the same. I'm taking Georgia. Like I said, they're going to steamroll through the regular season. I don't think they'll be tested. I mean, I don't want to sound like a biased homer. I do think the game at Auburn might
Yep.
it that's their first test. I don't think they get scared, but I think that's their first test of the season to see where they're at with their quarterback Carson Beck, because their first game is UT Martin. That's a tune up. Ball
Yeah.
State,
Tune up.
not a problem. South Carolina, if it was at
Maybe.
if it was at South Carolina, I'd say maybe, but they get it at home.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a 20 to 30 point win. UAB, obviously not. So your first week 5 is the first time I think they get tested, and that's at Auburn, which they're still gonna win, obviously, but
Yeah.
that's gonna be their toughest game up to it. So I mean, if they come out and only beat Auburn, by 7, 10 points, we might be saying, "Oh shit, this Georgia team might not be great." But if they go into Jordan-Hare and put 45 up on Auburn and beat them by 30, then I think we know this team's
Yeah.
good. Second team I have is obviously Michigan. I think they're gonna go to the game undefeated. I am scared of the Penn State game. I think Penn State could absolutely be a surprise team to make the playoff if they were to win to beat Michigan. But I'm taking Michigan undefeated again. They're gonna run the ball down Ohio State's throat like they did last year and the year before. They're getting there. I'm taking Texas. I think Quinn Ewers is gonna be really good. And I'm taking USC because Caleb Williams is gonna win the Heisman, and that offense is gonna go crazy. Which I guess I'll give my pick for who's winning the national championship. It's Georgia.
Yeah.
I'm taking it. It's only
Okay.
been done once before to have a three-peat, and that was
Three-peat. Yeah.
Minnesota thousands of years ago. I know it's chalk, but Georgia is just so good. On paper, they're great. Their defense is always elite.
Yeah.
I can't get over Michigan's loss to TCU last year to say that they're ready to take the
Yeah.
next step into a national champion. Maybe they win
hmm
a playoff game this year, but I don't think they beat Georgia. Um, Georgia's
I'm
definitely.
the only thing I'll say is I don't think an SEC school wins the title. I don't think the SEC wins. I don't know who's going to win.
Yeah.
Even though I picked LSU in the top four, I don't think LSU wins it this year. But I don't think Georgia, Bama, I don't think they win it this season.
Yeah.
I think there'll be
I
one
don't.
of the other ones that just take it home.
Yeah, I don't think LSU, Alabama, or Auburn wins it, but got to throw Auburn in there as the possible sleeper
Yeah.
pick. They're going undefeated this season.
The surprise team I have for this year is I have two, which I already spoke about both of them, honestly. It was Texas, right? Because I have them in the playoff. I have them beating Bama on the road. Again, this is a very solid team, well recruited, played well last year, actually. So I think they have a shot of going further. And again, Washington. I think Michael Penix Jr., I mean, this team could also crash by week 4. Don't get me wrong. This team could be terrible. But I think
Yeah.
Washington has a really good schedule. I think they're only going to build on what they did last season. I don't think they make the playoff, but I think this will be a fringe top 15 team most of the season and not like waver away, which I think for them is an improvement. I think they're 10 right now. If they go down to like 12 or 14 by the time bowl season comes around, that means they lost 2 games, and that's still a really good year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've already talked about my two surprise teams. I think Penn State, I've given them enough flowers for now. I think Utah is going to be good too. They just play in the Pac-12 where they're just going to cannibalize each other. I think Cam Rising is really good. I think their defense is legit. I just don't know if they'll win enough games. But the last 2 years we've had Cincinnati and we've had TCU be the surprise teams to make the playoff. Is there a possibility for a surprise team this year?
Like a non-power five kind of. I
Not
know
like a
TCU is the power
non-power
five,
five.
but
Yeah, not like a non-power five, but like a team, ranked 15 to 25 right now that you think could make it.
let me look up the top 25 poll right now. I'll give you a second.
I guess just they
Um,
don't even have to be ranked. Maybe they're unranked. Maybe you
no, I
think
know, but like a
maybe
smaller
you
ranked
think
team.
Toledo makes the college football playoffs.
No, or Tulane.
Yeah.
I'm going to say of all the teams that aren't in the top 10, I'll say, again, Texas. So Texas is 11.
I don't know if I'd say Texas is really a surprise team. They are very hot to
Surprise.
come into the year.
Give me North Carolina.
Okay,
Give me
good pick, Zay.
UNC. Give me UNC.
Yeah, I mean that's a solid pick. Drake May, Heisman hopeful, playing in the
Yeah.
ACC. I think they probably play Clemson. They play Clemson. I don't think they play Florida State, so they get to duck one of those. I mean, I can see if they go undefeated. We'll see. I think tomorrow is going to be a huge game against South Carolina for them, but I think North Carolina
Neutral
wins that
ground
one.
too.
Yeah, that's a valid pick. I was going to say A&M, just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they got to play everyone in the SEC West. If that team goes undefeated in the SEC West, you're making the playoffs as long as you beat.
Yeah, but so is Ole Miss or Mississippi State,
Yeah, but they A&M still recruits really well with Jimbo Fisher. What's the quarterback? Oh, Connor Wegman, I think is the quarterback. Unless I'm just having a really bad
For
brain fart.
TAMU, for Texas
Yeah,
A&M.
I'm like 97,000% sure it's Connor Wegman. A&M
It
recruits
is.
well. Kyle Field is electric. Their home field advantage is crazy. The 12th man. I don't know. I'm not huge on Alabama and LSU this year. I think this could definitely be a year that a surprise team wins the SEC West. If you beat Georgia in the conference championship, I honestly, if they go undefeated and lose a close game to Georgia, they might still get in based on how the rest of the season goes. So I think A&M is my surprise. They could pull a TCU off.
Nah. I mean, we talked about your Heisman already this season. I've already banked my horn for who it is. And for me, I think it's Michael Penix Jr. I think Caleb Williams can have a great year, but I think Washington goes into USC and wins that game, and that's the elevation he needs. But it's gonna be so hard to beat Caleb Williams because like the first time, like they even the last game when they played against nobody, they were showering him with praise on national television. So it really is like media driven. So I think Caleb Williams will definitely have the advantage. But I think Michael Penix's running ability will at least give him some separation. So I'll take Penix just to be different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking Caleb Williams. That offense is going to be electric. If they put up 45 points a game, he's winning the Heisman. There's no doubt about it. I
Yeah.
mean, Drake May is an interesting pick. Other than that, I don't know. Like Michael Penix, I think is a good pick. Bo Nix, who I feel like has been in college for like 12 years. Like he was at Auburn when I was at Auburn. I don't know how he is still
God.
playing college. That's what I'm saying. Bo Nix was in
God.
Auburn the same time I was. I have no idea how that man is still playing there.
'Cause
But
redshirt, COVID, the eligibility, I guess. That's
I
crazy.
think he got there. I think my junior year was his freshman year, so yeah, he definitely used it. I think he
Yeah, we
definitely
saw
had
him
to use
play.
it.
We saw him play. I
Did
saw
you?
him play at Auburn.
Was he the okay? I can't. I don't
That
remember
was
what
their
year
senior
that was,
year.
but
That was their senior year
it
of
was his
college.
senior year. Oh,
Yeah, that was their senior
okay.
college. So I saw Bo Nix
I
play.
just feel like he's been in college for like 20 years at this point. But Caleb, I feel like Caleb Williams is a safe pick to win Heisman, especially since I think they're going to make the playoff. I think they're going to be good. I think Caleb Williams. I think he's like plus 400. The next guys, I think Drake May is like plus 1100. So pretty pretty substantial odds so far.
We of course have week one coming up, starting kind of already started yesterday with Utah, Florida, and was no Minnesota, Nebraska was the other big
Dude,
game.
did you see that game-winning catch
No, I
for
did. It wasn't. It was
Minnesota?
the game tying,
Game
but
tying,
like
sorry.
no, it was a great catch. But Nebraska folded. They had the ball at the 50, threw a pick, and then Minnesota went 4 plays later and scored game winning field goal. Like I saw the end of that game.
Matt
Yeah,
Rule, oh, that guy might be in trouble because doesn't do
Nebraska's
it.
man. I've got a friend who's from Nebraska and a homer. He's a Husker. He said even after by week four, he might just stop watching because it's going to be a rough
Oh, they're
season.
gonna be bad. I mean, I'll give Matt Rule a couple of years at Nebraska, but his Panthers tenure was terrible, and now his Nebraska Cornhusker tenure has started pretty bad. So
Yeah. But like we said, week one did officially start. Any teams that you're looking at that could be facing the rare upset on week one? Some overhyped teams maybe that are playing against a team maybe teams are underrating.
Well, I thought yesterday, I thought Florida could upset Utah. Turns out that was just terrible. It turns
I
out
knew that
that
wasn't going to happen.
Billy Napier is just Brian Harsin in disguise, and he's
Right?
just a terrible coach. Yeah, I don't know. Billy Napier will not last at UF. That is a proud organization, and they do not have losing seasons back to back. It's
Yeah.
not. They won't let it happen again. I think if they don't make a bowl game, he is fired. I don't care about how good their oh my god, I'm having a brain
Season
fart.
looks,
No,
their team.
their recruiting. There you go. I don't care
There
how
you go.
good their recruiting is. Florida is not going to deal with back-to-back losing seasons. I think it might be back-to-back-to-back losing seasons because they had Dan Mullen the last year of his. I think they lost at a losing season too. So I think Billy
I don't know.
Napier's on the way out. But that's my Florida tangent for the week. I think Tulane is on upset alert against South Alabama. Uh, I don't know. Two power. Actually, is Tulane? No, they didn't go to the Big 12. No, right?
No, Tulane's not.
No, no, they're still in the AAC or whatever the fuck it is nowadays with nobody in it. Um, Tulane might be on upset watch. I think UNC could. I think it's gonna be a really fun game. UNC versus South Carolina. Spencer Rattler versus Drake May.
Yeah.
I think they could be on upset watch, and then I think Washington against Boise State. Boise State's always a team that you have to like look out for. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't.
potentially, yeah.
I don't know if it happens, but those are my three. I guess maybe upset watches. I don't know. It's week one, so I doubt any
It's
of
hard
them
to see.
happen.
Yeah.
It's really hard to see any of them, but those are three games that I'll definitely be watching. I guess those that's just my way of saying those might be the three most exciting games tomorrow.
Yeah. I've got three different ones actually, and I have good reasoning. Iowa, Utah State. I like Utah State to win that game.
Oh,
Iowa doesn't play
okay.
fast. Utah State does. I think Utah State can come out and just honestly just outscore Iowa. Like Iowa's defense is good, their offense probably not. I like Colorado over TCU. I like Prime to win his first game. Big noon kickoff for the Big 12. I think Colorado gets Coach Prime his first win against TCU. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But I
Middle
think
Tennessee beats
Indiana keeps it
Alabama.
close. No, I think Indiana keeps it close against Ohio State. Indiana won't win,
I don't know.
but I
I
think
don't.
it'll be within 10 in the fourth quarter. That's what I think.
Oh wow. I was gonna say
It'll
maybe
be
like
within
within 10
10.
at halftime, but
No, I think within 10 at the fourth. And then
I
it's
would
going to be like the
love
first play
that.
of the fourth quarter. Ohio State goes for like a bomb and then wins the game.
I would
But
love it if it's close, but I mean Ohio State with quarterback issues, but at the end of the day they have Travion Henderson, so I don't think it's going to be close. Maybe the first half is close, trying to figure out the offense with a new quarterback, but
yeah,
Indiana's really bad, so
I
I
know,
don't
I
know.
know.
That might be a hot take, but
Yeah. Any more college football news you want to think of or have to offer?
no, I excited for college football to finally be back. It's exciting times for us. Can't wait. NFL starts next week. The MLB playoffs are starting. Basketball and hockey start again in a month, which is crazy because I feel like those just ended. But I think the
Yeah.
NHL opening night is like October 10th, so like 5 weeks from now we have hockey back, which I know we don't cover it on the podcast, but exciting. Um,
We cover the Florida Panthers and we cover the Detroit Red Wings. That's it.
yeah,
And
that's
maybe the
about it.
Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, college football wise, I think that's it.
Yeah. I think we do have some last little bits and pieces about fantasy football. Of course, we had our draft on Monday. Boy
Oh,
took Tyreek Hill, number
my team's
4 pick.
elite.
Who'd you pick round one again?
I got CMC pick three.
CMC, that's right. And he got a Monroe on the second.
Yes,
So Taylor's team's
sir.
looking good, even though Yahoo hates both of our teams projection wise.
Yeah.
If you had to give
Yeah.
somebody who's about it, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say they just think that we absolutely don't know what we're doing at all, and we're mental, just crazy.
Yeah. I got Tyreek Hill and Derrick Henry. They think my team's going to fall off a cliff. Like, I don't
Yeah, they were
understand.
like, "How dare you draft Travis Etienne at his ADP? You get a C for your drafting him."
Worst draft pick at his
Worst draft.
ADP.
Yeah, I don't get Yahoo's draft grades. I hate it. I'm projected the second most like weekly points per game, so I don't know.
Yeah. But before people do their draft, the ones that are doing their draft, and maybe right before the season starts, because obviously the season starts in 6 days with Lions Chiefs. Any advice or tips and tricks you want to give out to listeners at home?
I don't know. I feel like everyone should have already drafted. Obviously, you're not drafting Jonathan Taylor at this point. I mean, maybe you
Yeah.
do if he falls really far. I think Cooper Cup is a good one. If Cooper Cup is if you've already drafted, I'm trading for Cooper Cup. I'm trying to. I
Yeah.
feel like you could probably get him. His hamstring injury is re-flared or whatever you want to say. He's I think he's questionable for week one. He might play. He might not. I feel like you could probably get Cooper Cup at a decent discount if whoever has him is panicking. I know I've already
Yeah.
looked at it to try and trade for Cooper Cup, but I already know I'm not getting that in our league. But
No, Aaron's not
maybe
trading that.
Aaron is not trading. But maybe you find a manager panicking, has a weak team already, and can't really afford to take a risk on Cooper Cup. Um, that would be my advice. I'm huge on the Jags this year, so if you haven't drafted yet, stack your team with Jags. I think Calvin Ridley's a great pick. I think Evan Ingram is a great pick down the line if you miss out on the Travis Kelsey sweepstakes. Um, I think Trevor Lawrence, he's my quarterback. I got him. Thank God I traded for draft picks. I had those three picks in a row. I had like pick 64, 66, and like 70. That was
Yeah.
elite. So
That's why I
Travis,
got Lamar before I lost those picks.
yeah, I think I drafted Kyle Pitts. Guys, I'm sorry. I had to. I just had to do it. But I don't know.
My
What's
my
your last fantasy advice?
Mine is don't be afraid to get the players you want. Don't worry about ADP. Don't worry about like, oh, I really want this guy, but I think this one's better available. It's your team. like get who you want to pick. Don't make a stupid pick and get Mahomes in the first round. But like, if
Which
you want
isn't
to
really a
have Jalen,
stupid pick. I don't know.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, be happy with your team, even if the projections say wrong, or like you're projected to go last, or like your ADP is wild. Like, if you want Jalen Waddle at the 1-2 turn, take him. If you want Nick Chubb in the first round, take him. Like, it's your team. And secondly, don't underestimate tight ends because there's such a big drop off after like obviously Kelsey, but Andrews, Kittle, Waller, that I have David Njoku as my tight end. Like, and I wish I drafted one earlier. And I know they're kind of like chalk, but if you can get one of those top 3, 4 talents, go for it. Because in our league, they ran quick. The tight ends went at like round 4, I think. The top 4 tight ends were off the board. So I would say if you have the chance to take Travis Kelsey in the last half of the first round, take him. I took Hill because I love Tyreek Hill, but like if you have like that 6 through 10 pick in the first round, take Travis Kelsey.
And then get Mahomes at the turn, and you're set.
Honestly, yeah, just
Yeah,
do that.
like
Or
if
get
you're
Derrick
if you
Henry
yeah, I was gonna say if you pick six and you take Kelsey, no one's taking Mahomes. I doubt
that
in the
early.
first. Yeah, unless you're playing with people that just don't care or don't know. I
Hmm.
mean, you're still getting Mahomes in the first, I don't know, 15 picks. So if you're picking 6 or 7, take Mahomes in the second round. You're set.
Yeah.
You have the best quarterback
I
and the best
also
tight end. So
I also don't know why Derrick Henry's value's dropped. I got him at the second round, 5th pick. Like Derrick Henry's still a great player. He had the most games played, most receiving yards in his career, and that he's not a first round talent anymore. I don't get it.
I guess people think he's gonna have like a down year because he's getting old. He has mileage. He has an
But
injury
it's Derrick
history.
Henry. The man still looks like a
Oh
bionic
yeah,
version of a football player.
no, I agree. But also, I think they might transition from a running team. Now they have D Hop, they have Traylon Burks, they have a couple of, I guess, rookie
It's still
quarterbacks.
Ryan Tannehill. I'm sorry.
Well,
It's still Derrick Henry.
I don't think it's. If they have Malik Willis or Will Levis playing, they're not going to run the ball
Maybe.
as much. But also, I guess that opens it up to not everyone is going to stack the box on Derrick Henry. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I do think Derrick Henry's going to have a great year. But I mean, if he slides to the second round in your draft, you're good. Take him
Take him.
because
Take him. Nick
he
Chubb slid.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
He Derrick Henry still has top 3 running back potential. He has first round potential still. If he falls to middle of the second, take him.
I agree. I think that's it for our coverage of major news and headlines and predictions. Any question of the days you want to leave the podcast with, or none today?
I have a non-sports question. Let
Okay.
me. It's a question of the day. That's not sports. Saw this one on TikTok. If you could
Sure.
have any fast food restaurant in your house, you could just get 24-hour service whenever you wanted. What are you
Ooh.
taking?
Now, I'm gonna narrow it down. Okay. Does it have to have a drive-through to be fast food?
Damn, that's a good argument. I don't. I feel
That
like
because if it doesn't, then it changes the answer.
a fast food restaurant is a place that you get drive-through from. That's why it's called fast food. If you have to get out of your car, it's not fast food.
Okay. Because I was gonna go for like,
You can say Chipotle, aren't you?
yeah, I was about to say like I was gonna go with Moe's or Chipotle because like
That's
you
not.
could
It's
do
not
different
fast food. If
variations.
yeah, it's not fast food if you have to get out of your car.
So I'm eliminating Chick-fil-A because it's not open on Sundays. What, you're gonna starve for a day? So I'm not gonna go Chick-fil-A.
Well, you don't have to exclusively only eat this food. You can still eat other stuff.
Oh, okay, okay. It's just in your house.
Yeah, it's just so you can just get it whenever you want.
Oh, okay. I would go Chick-fil-A. Beat the line. The lines are always used at Chick-fil-A. Let me just have it at my house. Let me
That's
get
fair.
Chick-fil-A. Let me get waffle fries and Chick-fil-A sauce whenever I want it. Give me
That's
Chick-fil-A.
fair. Uh,
Also, probably that one of the healthier options.
my answer is extremely easy. It's cookout. I don't know if you've ever been to a cookout,
Nope.
but
Nope.
you got to next time you go to South Carolina, please go to cookout. Cookout is the
Okay.
greatest thing ever. You can get a quesadilla, a burger, hush puppies, fries, and a milkshake for like $8. It's
God.
great. It's like the best night out, 3 in the morning type food. It's amazing. I'm taking cookout. I'm getting a milkshake at 4 a.m. when I wake up to go pee. I'm bringing me a cookies and cream milkshake back to bed.
Okay.
That is the one thing I miss living out here is cookout.
Yeah, for food.
Man, I really want cookout now.
Man's been looking up food like similar to Cookout on Google
Yeah,
Maps.
I'm just looking up cookout pictures.
I have a question of the day. It's more sports related. But
Okay.
if you had to have your three dream commentators for football, if you could even think of three commentators for football, for college or the pros, like let's say it's the Super Bowl or the college football
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
playoff, and you could choose any three, who you choose?
Gus Johnson,
Great choice.
Kirk Herbstreit.
Okay.
I don't know. He's not like the best, but his voice is just like nostalgic, I guess. Do I go Reese Davis? I don't think so. Damn. Gus Johnson's definitely my number one.
Yeah.
Do I take Romo? Like I'm taking Gus Johnson for like the excitement factor, obviously.
Hmm.
Kirko Herbstreit for I guess the nostalgia. And I guess I'm taking Tony Romo for like the in-game insight. I don't think he's the best commentator, but like I guess he's an old player that he knows a lot about the game. Oh, never mind, not Tony Romo. Give me Peyton Manning.
Really?
I guess technically it counts because he does the ESPN Monday night stuff. I'm taking Peyton Manning. I think he's funny. He also knows the game. I haven't seen
Mhm.
Brady enough to do it yet. I think Peyton Manning, Gus Johnson, and Kirk Herbstreit is an elite three.
All right, well, I'm gonna blow yours out of the water. I'm just saying it now. I'm going
Oh no,
Al
shit!
Michael.
Oh
What? Go
damn!
ahead. Go ahead.
I'm changing mine. It's
Okay.
not Peyton Manning. I'm taking Vern Lundquist,
I don't even know who that is, so okay.
the old CBS guy for college
Oh, the
football.
older one. No, no, I meant like
Yeah.
current. But I guess you could that could
Oh,
count. Yeah, that could count. Yeah.
okay.
I'm taking Al Michaels, number one,
Okay.
play-by-play announcer.
Yeah.
Al Michaels is great. I'm taking
Thumbs
Kevin
up.
Harlan. I'm taking Kevin Harlan. No, I'm not taking Chris Collins. I'm taking Kevin Harlan. And I'm taking Brad Nessler. Like, I'm taking these three. Like, I think
Okay, that's pretty
they're
good.
all 1A talents. So them being all in the same booth. Like, I mean, Jim Nance is also really good too, who I thought about, but like I'm gonna take those three. Like
Okay.
I wouldn't mute the volume at all if those three are calling the game. When they normally call a game, you know it's gonna be like an epic play, like epic game. You know, if you see those three commentating, so all of them together is gonna be like amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can agree Gus Johnson's probably the best.
I like Gus for college. I don't like him for
Yeah,
pros.
yeah. Gus for
I
college
love him
is
for
definitely better.
college.
Yeah, dude, I
Yeah.
love him. I can't wait. College football's so great because of Gus Johnson.
Yeah, just all the games on Fox he's called over the years.
Yeah.
But I think that's it this week. I mean, we've got a little bit more NFL preview next week, some college football reactions to week one, previewing week two, a little bit closer to basketball and hockey season, like you said. Baseball, no, I mean, we had news, but no real like actual on the field stuff that we talked about. So we'll get you caught up in the playoff races again. But I think
We're gonna
that's it for this episode.
we're gonna be previewing week one of the NFL season next week, which is crazy. Time flies.
Yep. Yep.
Hopefully, let's see. We'll release this probably Saturday morning, tomorrow morning, maybe Sunday. So it might be a little late, but we're definitely gonna try and record early in the week so we can get to all of the week one action and we don't miss anything. Um, damn that first game, 5:20 on Thursday night. The Detroit Lions are gonna lose miserably
Could
at
you
Kansas
believe it?
City. Oh man, I can't wait.
And we're going to preview the game that we previewed to start off this podcast. It was Dolphins at Chargers, week one this season, the NFL. Dolphins at Chargers. So we're going to be previewing
Damn,
that
that's
game again.
crazy. Huh.
That's the first game that we previewed because that's the game we
That's
went to.
oh damn, that's wild.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's now full circle.
Full circle.
So until episode 36 coming to you on YouTube and Spotify, I'm Alex.
I'm Taylor.
I'll see you then.